What is good? Not Andrew biting our entry into podcast media spaces. Cut it out already.
It's going to be fresh Kraken before we know it.
I know.
Only one person can release the Kraken.
Quit biting our style. What is good is ours. All right. We're back. We got my man, Austin Abbott, in the house. Been a staple of the crew for a long time. We're excited about this one. Going to do something a little different this time. We got Matt Miller's mock draft, and we're going to kind of walk through. We're going to look at the skill positions, though. We're not going to bore you with, we'll read through the list, but we're not going to bore you with all of our, opinions on every single pick. We're going to mostly focus on the skill positions. So switching it up a little bit, going to be a fun exercise. The draft is, 70-ish days away. So it's exciting. It's an exciting time. A lot of pieces of the puzzle, a lot of evaluations going on. And, it's okay to change opinions through this process as well. Austin, how's it going, man?
What's up, fellas? Yeah, we're talking a lot of rookies today. Top 64 picks, first two rounds. But you're going to hear a lot of big names, whether it's Judkins, whether it's, Tet, Matt Golden, Tyler Warren, a lot of big dogs. So it's going to be a lot of fun, man. This is a very unique type of episode. Like we don't really put out this type of content often. And I kind of wish we would do more. So I'm excited, man. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, let's jump into it. Matt Miller's top 64, first two rounds. So we have 21 total skill positions going in there. So fantasy community will love that. That means good draft capital for a lot of faves. We got 10 in the first round and 11 in the second round. And we'll kind of go through and see where we agree, where we disagree, what we would change, what we like. So starting this off, what's interesting is in the top of this draft, we have three quarterback needy teams, but the consensus is maybe a little wishy-washy on quarterback. So in this particular mock, the Tennessee Titans elect to not go quarterback, and they go Abdul Carter edge. How do you feel about that? Are you somebody like you feel like, hey, let's just take BPA here, or do you just if you aren't in love with the quarterback, are you okay with this move, or what's your prognosis here with this first pick here with the Titans?
Yeah, I mean, this is BPA, right? I agree. I do think he's the better player than Cam Ward, right? That would be my top quarterback. All right, I think it's really going to come down to those two players to tell you the truth. But who was it, man? It was Mike Borgonzi, the new general manager of the Tennessee Titans, right? He came out and said that they have already essentially decided on a generational prospect, right? And I thought that was a really bold statement to come out of his mouth. I don't think, man, I don't think it's going to be Shedeur, right? And I don't view Cam Ward as a generational type of prospect by any means. So
you don't view him as a generational.
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct. But that was a bold statement to come out of his mouth, man. It really, really caught me off guard.
To me, on this, you could take Abdul Carter, you could take Travis Hunter. I would lean Abdul over Travis Hunter for impact on team if you're going to slow kind of rebuild this thing a little bit. Mm-hmm. But if you don't want to take the quarterback, for me, it's try to trade out of this position and just see what you can get for this. That's kind of the way I would view it there. I would probably just take Cam Ward and just say, hey, we're not going to run it back with Levis, or if they have a different idea of what they want to do in free agency, I guess, time will tell. But Abdul Carter, I think is a difference maker. So I'm okay with it at the end of the day. But I think all three of these teams kind of need a quarterback. And, that also there's, another team or two down here. Vegas could use a quarterback. New Orleans could kind of use a quarterback potentially. We start with Abdul Carter. I think we're both in kind of agreement. We're okay with it. I would trade back, right? All right. So let's go to pick 2 here. You got Travis Hunter coming off the board for the Cleveland Browns. For me, I feel like Cam Ward is a really good fit with what they do. I would take Cam Ward 100 times out of 100 if I'm Cleveland. You're in a bad cap situation. I feel like this could probably help you alleviate that. And, hey, you could turn the page a little bit of saying, hey, we picked our guy. We're closing the door on the Deshaun Watson chapter we tried, and we're going to figure it out from here. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, spot on, Casey. Like, this really surprised me, and you could say this is realistic. I don't believe this is going to happen, right? If Cam Ward is there at 2, they're going to walk away with Cam Ward. Cleveland, that is.
Yeah, I like it. All right, so then at pick 3, we got New York Giants. They got them taking Cam Ward here, or Matt Miller does. If he's there, I think it's a great pick for New York, right? What would you say here? If let's say if the Browns took Cam Ward and the Giants then were on the board and took Shedeur, do you feel any type of way either way?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like that for the Giants, right? I don't think Shedeur is the pick at 3. I mean, could they do it? Like, I think there's a better than 50% chance that would be reality if Shedeur is still there. I don't think that's the right choice, right? I would personally trade back, try to get, Travis Hunter and change. But here in this draft, in Matt Miller's mock draft, Cam Ward to the Giants at 3 is an absolute gift, man. I mean, this is the easiest pick in the entire draft if he were to fall this far, which I highly doubt. So.
Cam Ward to either Cleveland or New York, does it strengthen your position as a Cam Ward drafter in Superflex Dynasty?
Cam Ward to New England. I'm sorry, you said Cleveland.
Either Cleveland or New York.
Oh boy. I'd probably rather him go to the Giants, to tell you the truth. I think I just believe in Malik Neighbors like that much, man. Yeah. I think you have a legit wide receiver 1, and not just a legit wide receiver 1 in Malik Neighbors, but like you could argue he's already a top 5 receiver in the game. Anytime you pair up a quarterback with that type of player, that type of talent, it's going to help a lot, man.
Yeah. I like the Cam Ward fit in Cleveland a little better, but I also do kind of like Cam and Shedeur, I think a little more than consensus. So I would be fine with either one of them going to either spot. And I feel pretty comfortable drafting both. And I probably are going to have them a little higher up than everybody else anyway. But I do think that will change when both of them are probably top 6 NFL draft picks, right? I think the consensus will come around and be like, oh, well, I'll talk myself into taking these guys. And there'll still be people who are like, oh, I'm completely out. And, but I think both of them are better than people are given their due for there. So, all right, let's keep it moving here. Let's go New England Patriots, Mason Graham, defensive tackle, Michigan. 5, Jacksonville Jaguars take Will Johnson, cornerback, Michigan. So 2 big blues off the board right there. And then 6, the Raiders come in with Shedeur Sanders. Tommy has been linked to Shedeur there, been training with Shedeur. So I think they probably, if given the chance here, they jump at this opportunity, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I remember before the Raiders had won a few games late in the season, it kind of felt like the Raiders had a strong chance of getting Shedeur at like the 101, 102, 103 range. Right here, they are picking at 106. So I'm sure they'd be infatuated with this value. I think Shedeur's floor is the 7th pick, which, the very next pick, that being the New York Jets. But in reality, man, yeah, I think Shedeur is going to go probably earlier than 6th overall. But the Raiders got to be happy with this value right here.
Yeah, I do too. And maybe the Raiders need to trade up to figure something out here as they go. Maybe Tom really likes Shedeur and says, hey, we'll trade Tennessee back to 6 and see if we can pick up Shedeur. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, because Tom's, I guess, spent some good time with him, training him up a little bit. And that's what happens when your dad's Dion. But I like Shedeur. I think Shedeur is played a decent amount of quarterback. I think he's got good mobility. I think he kind of knows where to go with the ball and how to get it there. I don't think he has the top-notch arm, but the short and intermediate accuracy is really good. So like I said, between all these landing spots that we've kind of talked about, I feel a little indifferent about it, but I like both quarterbacks a lot. So I don't think it changes my opinion a ton. What does it change your opinion a ton for Shedeur for dynasty purposes to Vegas?
No, I mean, I think it's a good landing spot, right? Like, obviously, you got Brock Bowers, right? End of discussion, right? That's all you need. That's all you need. Yeah. Hey, man, I love Jacoby Myers as well. But no, it's a good landing spot for Shedeur. And I think Shedeur, real quick, like just before we move on from Shedeur, there's 2 things that I would love to see for him. And that's to have him initially sit. I think it would be great for him to just develop, learn the game even better at an even higher level. And on top of that, man, build a really strong offensive line around him. Like, of course you can say that about any quarterback. Obviously it's always going to help, but I think him, spending time on the bench, learning the game even better, man. When you combine those 2 things, especially when you especially when you're able to have that supporting cast with, Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, and hey, hopefully they, make another addition to the backfield as well. So I think that, it could be actually a pretty appealing landing spot for Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah. No, that's and again, Shedeur really hasn't had a great offensive line most of his time in college. So take that kind of for what it is. Shedeur not available at 6 for the Raiders. Jeanty's been kind of a fun one going there. Yeah. Interesting, but I think if he's not there, I think they do something else besides him, and then maybe try to find a Sammy D or something. All right, 7, we got Will Campbell, offensive tackle, LSU to the Jets. 8, you have Jalen Walker, edge, Georgia. 9, Tet McMillan coming into the Saints. How do you feel about this? Kellen Moore seeming to be the guy who's going to be the guy that gets the job there. Walking into a terrible situation cap-wise, you get Tet McMillan. Well, how do you feel about the landing spot for Tet there?
Yeah, this is pretty sick, man, especially for the quarterback, whoever that may be for the Saints heading into 2025, right? I mean, who knows, man, if it's going to be Derek Carr or they decide to draft another quarterback or what route they take. But I mean, between, obviously Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave, now Tet McMillan, like all of a sudden it's like, hey man, we got a lot to work with. So this is a good, realistic, fun landing spot. I'm all for it.
Yeah, some would say maybe New England could go as high as Tet, but that D tackle just seems like a much more Vrabel Pats pick right there. And we'll figure the rest out later. They do have some cap space, so they could address that in a different way. I don't necessarily love the Tet landing spot, but I do like Kellen Moore. I do think it's going to take a minute to kind of figure that situation out because of the cap. But Olave, him, I think Shaheed might be a free agent. I'm not sure, but he'd be interesting to kind of bring him back into that fold and see how much longer Kamara goes. So could be good down the road. I think initially people might be a little bummed about that landing spot, but we shall see. So Bears at 10 go Kelvin Banks Jr., Texas tackle. At 11, the Niners go Josh Simmons, Ohio State tackle. Then 12, the Dallas Cowboys, Matthew Golden. So I think this is the first real fireworks of the draft here. That's
supposed to be Jeanty.
Yeah, to me this is Jeanty or a different wide receiver. And I know Golden is really spiking up the charts right now and pretty trendy. And I know a lot of people might have him as far as not the dynasty guys, but more the draft people, or kind of have him in the top 5 of wide receivers and, maybe surging all the way up to 2 like this is saying. But I would find it wild that Golden would be the 12th pick of the Cowboys here and not somebody like a Jeanty. But what are your thoughts here? Yeah,
I know Jerry loves to, have the spotlight on him. He loves all the attention, and boy, would this bring it to Dallas, right? This is just straight up not realistic. Of course, this is not going to happen. Casey, clip this. I can't wait to come back in a few months and watch me look like a fool. But no, man, unless he's running a 4.21 like Xavier Worthy at the NFL Combine, unless something insane happens, right? I don't think he's even in the conversation, right? This isn't even his territory, in my opinion. I like Matthew Golden, don't get me wrong. And let me just say this. I would love it. Casey, if there's one thing I want from the NFL draft, it's pure chaos. I want to be wrong about everything. I want it to just be as, again, chaotic, wild, unpredictable as possible, right? That would make it just, I think, the most enjoyable just form of content. The NFL is the best reality TV show of all time. So let's have the draft just be nothing but just, again, pure chaos, crazy. Give it to me.
It is the best reality show, but they're trying to ruin it with the refs and the Chiefs. Like,
I'll leave it alone. We're having fun.
It's annoying.
It's annoying.
Like, I need the Eagles to just handedly beat them so that inches and yards don't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Because if they do, then Swift is getting the Super Bowl. How much money is Taylor Swift worth to the NFL at the Super Bowl? There's got to be a bottom line. Is it $1 billion?
It's
no one's beating the Chiefs.
Yeah. All right. If Golden goes here, I think that it's probably going to catapult him into a lot more dynasty hemisphere of top 5 for sure. Right now we're seeing him mid-second in a lot of drafts, maybe late second as far as dynasty rookie drafts go. Superflex tight end premium
2.6 in our most recent rookie mock. Head over to the patreon.com. Join these mocks.
Yeah. So, interesting pick there. I don't think it's super realistic either. I do think he is surging up the boards like Miller alludes to here, but that seems like a little crazy. If you want to take a wide receiver there, man, take Luther Burden, man. Take Luther Burden, or take Egbuka, or take Tre Harris. It feels like a little bit of a stretch to go that high. It just feels like
this is clicky.
Feels like
get you talking about
flag.
Can you
plan.
believe that?
Yeah.
Check that mock out. He had Matthew Golden going to the Cowboys. Like that was on purpose.
Right. And while I don't think it's unrealistic that Matthew Golden sneaks into the back end of the first round, I can't see the Cowboys doing that. So anyway, all right, you ready? Let's keep it rolling. Go Miami Dolphins. They take the tackle out of Missouri, Armand Membayu. I'm sorry if I butchered that one. 11. We got Tyler Warren to your Indianapolis Colts.
14.
14. I think I love Warren. I'm taking Warren wherever he kind of fits into the draft here. And I don't think there's too many landing spots that I'd be bummed about. This one's interesting to start with because if he goes there, it feels like you're at a little bit of a log jam, and we have a quarterback situation where we're not 1,000% sure of, or even 60% sure of for some people. So what do you think about this?
To tell you what, this is like the earliest for Tyler Warren's range, in my opinion. I see some people saying he's going to go even earlier, and I don't think it's going to happen, man. I think he's a really good player, but again, he's not like that Brock Bowers, like breaking out and balling out 18 years old the second he stepped foot at the collegiate level. Like it took this man years to have that high end production. And I think a lot of NFL GMs are going to recognize that and realize, okay, like, yeah, sure. That's in the past. Now we know he's a much more polished, successful player with, just we're very much in on him. But again, at the end of the day, man, I don't think he's going to be like a top 10 pick. So to me, this feels like an appropriate but beginning range for Tyler Warren. So it's a great landing spot, right? Like A-Rich obviously needs all the help in the world to develop. The Colts literally do not have one relevant tight end for fantasy, or I would argue even NFL purposes. And like that's just the God's honest truth, man. So I'm fired up about this.
Yeah, Saints would be a fun one at 9. Niners at 11 would be interesting with Kittle still around. Dallas, you could make a splash there, but yeah, you're probably right. Miami wouldn't be the worst, and then 16 to Arizona be kind of fun. But yeah, I like Warren. There's not going to be a whole lot that deters me off of because I think he's excellent, and just this Kittle McBride little baby out there who's just this ginormous athletic guy that I really, really like. So, all right, let's keep it moving. We got Atlanta. They're taking Michael Williams, edge, Georgia. Then we got Arizona taking Jahade Barron, cornerback, Texas. Might have butchered the first name, but I know really, really solid corner there. 17, Cincinnati takes Shamar Stewart, Texas A&M. Seattle Seahawks, Jahad Campbell, Alabama. 19, there we got Luther Burden III coming off the board, replacing Chris Godwin. It's going to be Jalen McMillan and Burden ushering in the new Tampa Bay Buccaneers era of wide receivers. What do you think about this?
Yeah, Burden, McMillan, Mike Evans, assuming again Chris Godwin is out of town. They're almost like two stacked at the wide receiving room. And obviously they have pass catching backs between Bucky Irving, who literally led all of college football, all running backs just 1 year ago. Rashad White too, man, catching 50 plus balls. It feels like not too long ago. So, this is going to be a high flying offense that's going to be passing at a ridiculously high rate. Tampa would be fun, man. I would love this. Dude, send it, make it happen.
That would basically tell you Godwin's not coming back, right?
Yeah,
if they do that. And then maybe we see Godwin in like Jacksonville or something reuniting with Cohen. But yeah, I don't mind it at all. Give me Luther Burden and pair him up with Jalen McMillan. Although I do like Jalen McMillan in the slot, and I do kind of like Burden in the slot. So it'd be.
Who would you prefer here, Casey? Because you love McMillan. You're too bullish on Burden, but it's that's a story for another day. How do you feel?
I'm okay with it. I don't mind it. Like I said, I think McMillan and him maybe could cannibalize each other for the same role. I like McMillan in the slot better than out wide. I like Burden in the slot too. Just get the ball in Burden's hands though. It's just, I don't mind the McMillan with the ball in his hands either, but he's certainly not Burden. Burden's like a baby Debo to me with the ball in his hands.
Baker, 4,500 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, and now he gets Luther Burden. Oh boy.
Yeah, I like it. All right, 20. We got Denver Broncos coming in with Colston Loveland, tight end, Michigan. So Bo Nix gets another pass catcher. Sean Payton gets another pass catcher. I think this is a good fit, a good landing spot, and I'd be real stoked about, I'd be more stoked about Loveland's landing spot than Warren's landing spot for sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, you think about Cortland Sutton, 6'4", just huge frame now, paired with Colston Loveland, 6'5", 250, right? Another big body. It's always good for the rookie or young quarterbacks. Now he's going into year 2, Bo Nix, that is. Again, hey, Troy Franklin, man, it's like 6'2", right? They got some good size over there in Denver. I'm kind of curious to see what they do in the backfield as well, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. No, I think you're going to see Denver in that second round, go after some running backs here. It is interesting that there is a lot of running backs, so that, you could see some of the players maybe get pushed down. Maybe Jeanty might be the only first rounder. Maybe someone sneaks into the end, but then, second and third. But really where it's going to come into play, I think, is, people will take their chances on that second and third round with the running backs. But I think you're going to see some really good ones get pushed to the fourth and fifth round. And what I think and hit, and what's going to help us re-skew draft capital cliffs for years to come, because there's going to be a good hit rate of good backs getting pushed into that, because people are still drafting good running backs at that point, because there's so many in this draft. So, all right, let's keep it moving here. I like the Loveland pick. 21, Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock. They take Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver, Ohio State. I don't hate this pick. I'd rather see Luther Burden go there, but I think Egbuka is a nice complement to what George Pickens does. I could also see Tre Harris being a Pittsburgh Steeler. He's just kind of that big, nasty, big-bodied, physical guy. Feels like a Pittsburgh Steeler kind of guy. What do you think about Egbuka here at the Steelers? I don't think it's a bad landing spot for any of these wide receivers, really.
Yeah, I think this is an A+ landing spot for Egbuka. Pittsburgh has needed what's felt like a legit wide receiver 2 for an eternity. I know that Deontay Johnson was there not too long ago. Now he's played for half the NFL over the past, over the calendar year. So shout out to Deontay Johnson. That's pretty impressive. But Egbuka, man, awesome route runner, just underrated separator. Phenomenal run blocker. I don't think that's discussed enough. And if I could leave you with one thing about Egbuka, man, he's not the sexiest pick, but you know what he is? He's polished. He's determined. He's hardworking. He's talented. He's consistent. And only 2 wide receivers in all of Ohio State history have recorded multiple 1,000-yard receiving seasons. You got Emeka Egbuka and Marvin Harrison Jr. So I'm in on him, man. I'm in. I think this is appropriate range, like late first, 6'1", 205, 22 years old. This is really solid.
Yeah. No, I think this is any pick for this wide receiver pick for the Steelers. I'm going to like there. We'll see TBD on the quarterback situation. Is it Fields? It feels like that maybe they're not bringing Russ back. I don't know, or is it somebody else? Right? Is Sam Darnold make his way over there? Who knows? But long term, I don't hate any of those couple of receivers that we discussed going there. All right, 22 Chargers taking Jeanty. That's just like that's a what the kids called God tier landing spot. Like you're just elated, right? He can't go any higher, but if he could, he would. So,
I mean, dude, I was blown away when Jahmyr Gibbs went at 12. I remember thinking he was supposed to go around like end of the first, early second. And here Jeanty is like, I know they're not identical prospects by any means. I don't necessarily mean to compare them in that regard, but Jeanty falling to really the back end of the first, man, like just Matt Miller, brother, it's just not going to happen, right? This is, again, I almost feel like this is much for clickbait, and I get it, right? You got to have a few picks maybe to just get people yapping about your mock draft. And Casey, that's exactly what we're doing. But you look at Ashton Jeanty, right? In reality, you pointed out 12 overall, the Dallas Cowboys, makes a lot of sense, right? I get that. I think his range is more of like, even Chicago at 10, man. I know they got Swift, and I like DeAndre Swift probably more than consensus. But God, how do you look at him at 10 and just think like, nah, we're good, man? And I mean, there's a few other teams though in this range, like Cincinnati at 17.
Denver. Don't besmirch Chase Brown, you son of a bitch.
No, dude, I'm in. I'm in on Chase Brown, but I'm just telling you, if they got the chance,
yeah,
I think that they really.
Well, we know Pittsburgh isn't scared to draft the first round running back. You know, they can go Jeanty, no problem. I think Denver would be. You know, you pair him with Sean Payton, that'd be awesome too. So really, some nice landing spots here if Jeanty somehow escapes out of that top 12-ish area, right? So yeah,
and dude, 2,600 rushing yards. Are you going to really fall to what is this, pick 23? What are we at?
22.
Yeah, it's just all right. Moving on.
Yeah, even if this isn't Jeanty here, they have options of Omarion Hampton if they want that kind of rugged smash you in the face kind of guy, or they could go Kaleb Johnson here or TreVeyon Henderson. Like kind of they can pick their poison of which style of running back they want and pick that guy. And if any of the running backs kind of end up there, you got to be pretty stoked about it. And really, any of those last three that we talked about, Denver, Pittsburgh, Chargers, I like any of those landing spots for running back. So, all right, Green Bay at 23. They go offensive tackle out of Oregon, Josh Cornelly Jr., Minnesota Vikings at 24, Walter Nolan, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. 25, Houston Texans, Tyler Booker, Georgia, guard. Los Angeles Rams coming in at 26. Now you're going to have to excuse me for the name here. We're just going to go Azariah. I'm going Azariah Thomas, cornerback, Florida State. So they go with a corner there in LA. Baltimore goes, we're just going to say they take the offensive tackle out of Arizona there because I'm not familiar with his game. Detroit Lions go Derek Harmon, D tackle, Oregon. Washington Commanders go James Pierce Jr., edge, Tennessee. 30. Buffalo Bills go Nick Emawari, safety, South Carolina. Philadelphia Eagles. So we're assuming the Eagles lose in this mock draft. Mike Green, edge. Marshall made some good headway at the Senior Bowl there. Kansas City Chiefs, Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle, Michigan. All right, that does it for the first round. Let's go into the second round here and look at some more skill position. Cleveland Browns lead it off 33. Cornerback, Ole Miss, Trey Amos. New York Giants, 34. Malachi Starks, Georgia, safety. 25, Titans go Carson Schwenzinger, linebacker, UCLA. Jacksonville Jaguars go Donovan Jackson, guard, Ohio State. Raiders, Donovan Iziraku, edge, Boston College. Pats at 38 go Jack Sawyer, edge, Ohio State. Bears, here we are. First skill of the second round, Omarion Hampton, North Carolina. Ben Johnson goes and gets a hammer. What do you think about that?
Yeah, A+ prospect, man. I love the value here. 97th percentile in yards after contact per attempt, man. Just a phenomenal value. Again, like I can't get over how outrageous Omarion Hampton's sophomore season was. Yet he still managed to set personal records this year. Rushing yards, yak per attempt, missed tackles forced, gains of 10 plus yards, breakaway percentage at 43.9%, first downs, targets, receptions, receiving yards. Like, dude, Omarion Hampton is just an absolute unit. Sky's the limit. I'm putting my chips in on this elite tier prospect. I love Omarion Hampton, man. I think, again, this is such a value because he's, I believe, going to go in the first round of the 2025 NFL draft. And they're getting him here at 39. So good on the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I think, they're going to maybe try to replicate kind of what that backfield was. And if Swift's the guy that they're going to hang on to is Ben Johnson, I think kind of already discarded a little bit, but they have one more year before they have an out with him. So Omarion Hampton would give you that bit more of a hammer style of player. But to me, if I were the Bears, I'd go TreVeyon Henderson, get myself the Gibbs role kind of locked down a little more, and then go find myself the hammer. But I don't mind taking Hampton here at all either. What you think about TreVeyon there? You like Hampton, though.
TreVeyon Henderson, man. I mean, hey, you can't. I would personally take Omarion Hampton, but like I'm not going to be mad about either running back, right? They're
way different stylistically.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Saints go Jaxson Dart, Ole Miss. So they just pair him up with Tetairoa McMillan. Maybe you bring Derek Carr back for a year. You let Dart hang out. Dart's the darling third quarterback right now for everybody. Maybe some people's talking about sneaking into the first round. This seems appropriate right here. Second round. I believe I heard Mel Kiper say second round quarterbacks have a 34% hit chance there. So, not the worst. Dart here, I don't have a problem with it. If you're in the second round and you're kind of quarterback needy and you want to take a swing, man. And if this is a guy that you feel good about, I'm okay with it. What do you think?
Yeah, and maybe I'm early to the game, but I think that we're going to see Jaxson Dart go in the first round, man. I really, really believe it. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to just give you a spicy hot take. I think that's what's going to happen. I mean, you're seeing people all over the media just yapping about Jaxson Dart. You touch on this with Matthew Golden. It's really the same thing, right? Where his draft stock has just been elevated tremendously, right? And I think it's going to continue to rise. I think there's going to be a handful of teams that look at him in mid first round and they're like, here we go, man. We saw, and Casey, I know last year's class was astronomically different, right? We see 6 quarterbacks go top 12. Here we have 2 going, top 6. And then we don't have another quarterback going till what? What is it, pick 40? Did you say 40?
Yeah, 40 for Dart.
So I just think there's going to be one general manager, and that's all it takes for them to cave and just draft him significantly earlier than this.
Right.
But dude, he has such an unbelievable deep ball against Duke. I think it was right. Yeah, it was Duke on the left side of the field, just in front of the end zone. Dude, I really have fallen in love with his deep ball. I think that Jaxson Dart he's just growing on me probably more than he should. So I'm ready to move on whenever you are.
I think a lot of people like Dart right now. So I think a lot of people feel the same way. All right. Then we got 41. The Bears come back and they take Tyleik Williams, D-tackle, Ohio State. Then 42, we got Quinn Ewers going to the Jets, Jets. Again, same kind of feeling for me. If this is who you like and this is where you want to go, take a shot on him. I think Ewers got all the tools, can make all the throws. I kind of don't hate this. Like, if Rodgers is going to come back for a year and Ewers can hang out for a year or two here and kind of figure some things out, I think you got a chance for Ewers to be okay. Like, again, he was a highly touted guy coming out, and you've seen him throughout games. Really, when he's on, man, he's good, and he'll revert back. And I think he a little banged up this year with the oblique and couldn't quite get it done at every stop of the way here, but got out there and competed, decided to come out, and I don't mind this pick at all. I think Ewers will end up probably going in the second round to somebody, and I don't mind the Jets at all here.
Yeah, and this is kind of fun in terms of we don't see this often, Casey, right? Like, second round quarterbacks don't happen that frequently, right? It's usually like, hey, you're a second or third round quarterback, but because you're a quarterback, you get pushed up to the first round, right? It almost like it doesn't exist. I know we got Jalen Hurts. I know we got some other guys in, recent memory, but this year might be a little different. And, Quinn Ewers coming off a career year, 31 touchdown passes. I do want to say that while this landing spot makes sense, I wonder if they would have taken Shedeur if he would have fallen one pick further. I know that at 6, the Raiders take Shedeur, but if he fell to 7, you think the Jets take Shedeur right there?
I would think so. Mm-hmm. I would think so as well.
We should have an answer on Aaron Rodgers pretty soon. I think within the next month. And wow, it's so crazy, Casey. I really thought it was sub 5% chance that he would play next year. And I know by no means has anybody committed to anything just yet, but it's starting to trend in that direction. I would agree.
Yeah, I think he's coming back. I think he played too well at the end of the season, and they weren't very good to leave it that way, especially for a guy like Rodgers. So, all right, let's keep moving. Niners take Gray Zabel, center, North Dakota State, rather, had an excellent Senior Bowl, just the talk of the town. Everybody loved him. I would love this pick for San Fran right there. That'd be sick. 44 Dallas Cowboys go Elijah Arroyo, tight end, Miami. Really, again, Senior Bowl, making some waves is just how uber athletic this guy is and silky smooth but still, you have Fanning at the 6'3" kind of body build at 230. You got this guy at like 6'5", 250, just moving around, super silky smooth. So, well, I don't know that I love that pick for the Cowboys right there. Maybe I'd like to see him do something different, but Arroyo is certainly going to be in the mix here for a high-end tight end, second, third round.
Yeah, it felt a little early to me, man. Maybe Jerry just says, "Hey, we need more firepower," and we that's what it's going to take. Yeah, it's what it's going to take for the Dallas Cowboys to compete, right? Not only for just a division, playoff appearance, Super Bowl, whatever it may be. So, Dallas definitely has to make some adjustments, and I think that there's a lot that they're going to have to do on offense again to compete. So, I don't really like this pick. I just think it's a little too early, but he's made worse picks than this in the past, Jerry. That is.
All right, 45. We got Maxwell Hairston, cornerback, Kentucky. 46, Benjamin Morrison, cornerback, Notre Dame to the Falcons. 47, Siobhan Revel Jr., East Carolina cornerback. 48, Miami Dolphins, TJ Sanders, defensive tackle, South Carolina. Cincinnati Bengals take JT Tuimalu, edge, Ohio State. 50, Seahawks take Alfred Collins, defensive tackle, Texas. 51, Denver Broncos, Kaleb Johnson, baby. And, again, this is a good range. We talked about this in the first round, this window here, 51, 52, Bucks, Chargers kind of in this area. And we know the Chargers took Jeanty in this particular mock, but here we are, Denver and Pittsburgh. Spoiler alert, Pittsburgh takes Quinshon Judkins here. So back-to-back, two running backs that I think everybody likes. I'm a hair lower on Judkins than consensus, but I love Kaleb Johnson. I like Kaleb a little more than Omarion Hampton. I know we're different there, but how do you like these fits for 51 and 52 with Kaleb and Judkins?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the best part of the podcast right now, man. This is the meat and the potatoes. This is a lot of. It doesn't get better. Like Kaleb Johnson here to Denver, right? We know that Denver was kind of like a three-headed monster they were just a mess, right? Their backfield last year. We didn't know who was going to be the guy, whether it was Estime, whether it was even Jaleel McLaughlin. It felt like some weeks, obviously Javonte, but now they get a legitimate 3-down running back in Kaleb Johnson here. Yeah, 6 foot, 225. He had a higher breakaway percentage, 56.1%. than Ashton Jeanty, right? Just something to keep in mind, right? And I think most GMs are sold on him at this point. He ranked top 10 in the nation in yards after contact, breakaway yard percentage, 10 plus yard carries, attempts, rushing yards, rushing touch. I mean, the list goes on, man. I think this is a great landing spot. I'd be very happy with this. I think if you're a Denver Broncos fan, you're pretty ecstatic.
Yeah, again, somebody like TreVeyon with kind of what TreVeyon Henderson here with what the head coach for Denver likes to do, Sean Payton. Yeah, I feel like that could be a nice scheme fit for what he does. A little more explosive pass catcher, but Kaleb, again, I don't think there's anybody going to Denver, Pittsburgh. I feel pretty good about. So. Not upset at all to see Kaleb Johnson. Wouldn't affect my overall opinion of Kaleb Johnson at all. I still have him as my RB2 in this class with this landing spot. And, any of the ones that we just kind of mentioned, I'd be excited about. So how about Judkins in Pittsburgh? It does feel like Judkins is a good Pittsburgh style back here. Yeah, dude, this is about as good as it gets, man. I loved how Judkins wrapped up his collegiate career, right? It was kind of the epitome of perfection, right? The national championship, averaging over 9 yards per carry, 121 yards, 3 touchdowns, just kind of put Ohio State on his back in a way. And he did this all in just 13 touches, which makes it so much more impressive, right? 6 foot, 220, 21 years old. He's a big dog, man. He kind of gives me like Eddie George type of vibes in a way. I think he's faster than I initially envisioned. He feels like a Steeler to me, man. This is a good landing spot. And I think that he should go earlier than this, but I do think that this is realistic
draft capital for him. I just think personally he should be going earlier.
Yeah, I think because of there is so many of these guys that I think this will be the nature that some of them maybe get pushed down, but I could see one or two maybe going a little earlier, and maybe it's TreVeyon that goes earlier. Maybe it's Kaleb.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it's somebody that we're not even thinking of. Maybe it's Dylan Sampson or, Devin Neal, that somebody gets enamored with those, probably not, but I'm just saying, it's possible. But I think I'm a little lower on Judkins here, but Judkins kind of falls into the Hampton bucket a little bit more for me of like stylistically, like just a little bit more of a hard nosed runner, just smashes into you, but still good hands, good receiver. So, I think he could be everything Pittsburgh would want him to be and be a little bit more explosive than what you were getting out of Najee Harris, even though maybe the long speed isn't quite what you want it to be, but still a really productive pack, a really good player. That freshman season at Ole Miss was awesome. And then him and TreVeyon being just two different stylistic players at Ohio State, really complementing each other really well. So like the pick there by Pittsburgh and the fit. So Tampa Bay coming in at 53. They take Princely. Uman, I don't know. I'll have to learn that one because I'm not great at that name there. Edge, Ole Miss. So 54 Green Bay Packers. Nick Scorton, Edge, Texas A&M. 55 Chargers take Mason Taylor, son of Jason Taylor. Good Levi's. Everyone's kind of saying plug and play, kind of a player here. You kind of know what you're getting. Seems like maybe a hair of a reach here for me personally. Any comments on Mason Taylor, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, I know he is a tight end, but he's from LSU, Casey, so he's got to be good, right? That's how it works. Now we saw good production from him right out of the gate as a freshman, right? All 3 years, his production was completely fine, especially for a tight end at the collegiate level. He's, landing in Los Angeles here, right? Getting paired with Justin Herbert. I'm not going to be mad about that by any means. Again, 6'5", 255. But Casey, I'm with you, man. Feels early for me. I just too early.
Yeah. All right. Bills at 56, coming in with Joshua Farmer, defensive tackle, Florida State. 57, Quincy Riley, cornerback, Louisville. 58, Deion Walker, D tackle, Kentucky. Baltimore Ravens coming in with Jalen Royals, wide receiver, Utah State. I think I like this guy. He's interesting. He definitely could profile as like a Raven, Pittsburgh kind of guy. I don't really like the pick here, though. If I'm going receiver, I would probably want a different style of receiver for the Baltimore Ravens here. I would maybe, get you somebody more rangy, taller. I don't know. Maybe a Betch would be a possible pick here, or the Alec Yaminor from Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I don't love the fit. It feels like a little redundant with Zay Flowers. I know they're not necessarily stylistically the same player, but I like Jalen Royals with the ball in his hand. Yak kind of guy, which is great for what they're doing. And hey, Baltimore drafts are usually pretty solid. Can't argue too much with what they're doing over there. They got a pretty good process. How do you feel about this Royals pick for Baltimore?
Yeah, I mean, here's a player with good size, good production. I didn't think that it felt repetitive, right? I do agree with you in that regard. I don't think they're going to be looking at wide receiver here in this range.
Yeah, me neither.
I've been wrong before. All right. I don't think they're going to be looking at wide receiver here. To tell you the truth, I almost feel like they're going to kind of prioritize defense in this range for the 2025 NFL draft. But we'll see, man. Jalen Royals is a nice player for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be Baltimore. I think we're going to see a team that's lacking that firepower on offense, and Baltimore by no means is.
Yeah, no, like I said, like somebody, I don't know, maybe a little bit different stylistic player here. I would be more into it, but I feel like Royals strikes me as a little bit more of a yak guy, which maybe that's what they're looking for. But all right, let's keep it moving. We got Detroit, Jared Wilson, center, Georgia. Commanders come in here with Tre Harris. Like if Baltimore wanted to take Tre Harris, I'd love that. Let's go Tre Harris in Baltimore here.
Yeah.
Commanders get a great player with Tre Harris at this particular juncture. I feel like that would be great for the development of Jaden Daniels. Got Terry on the other outside. I like Tre Harris a good bit. Just a possession, kind of big physical, big bodied, knows where to be on the field. Had some drops, but the hands are plucky. I think I'm not terribly concerned about the drops.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had a high drop rate. I think it was like 7.7% this year, right? It's throw it out the window. I don't care, man. We got a 6'3", 210, 22-year-old, physically imposing, right? Comfortable with going over the middle to make the big catch. Just a high ceiling type of prospect here, right? Could candidly beat you with whether it's his strength, speed, route running, right? Wildly efficient, right? I think I've recited the yards per route run metrics a few times on the show, right? Like 5.15. I mean, just not even a realistic number. 9.28 versus man. 4. I mean, just disgusting. Just super efficient, man. And missed 5 games essentially this year, like 4.5. Let's call it 5. Still cracked the 1,000-yard mark. And the Washington Commanders, right after Terry McLaurin, right? Let's be honest, they need a legit 2, and I love it. I think they nailed this pick. So he's almost identical size to BTJ, Rome Odunze, just to give you an idea, right? It's like I don't expect Tre Harris to have that blazing 4.33 98th percentile speed like BTJ, but he can still thrive as a legitimate deep threat in the NFL. And I think his projected draft capital is going to be, mid-second round. So he's got a bright future in the NFL. Tre Harris, that is.
No, I like Tre Harris. All right, last 2 skill position here. 63, they got Terrance Ferguson, tight end Oregon, and then Kansas City taking TreVeyon Henderson. So Terrance Ferguson, I can't say I have done a whole lot of study on and am incredibly high on. I know some people do like him, and he had a nice little Senior Bowl performance there. But TreVeyon Henderson going to the Chiefs is, again, I don't want to freak out because the Chiefs and have they nailed all these running backs and picks? Absolutely not. But I do. You put an explosive playmaker like TreVeyon Henderson on this team. I just feel like that's a real bummer for everybody else.
Yeah, I wouldn't allow this. I would have to talk to Mr. Goodell myself and just tell him like this is just not fair. This team is probably 3.
He facilitated this.
Yeah. This team is probably 3-peated by the time you're listening to this, unfortunately. And I mean, dude, I love TreVeyon Henderson. He's continuing to grow on me. He feels like one of the safest running backs in this class. Just dominated as a freshman. We saw that early collegiate production and the consistency. The biggest knock on TreVeyon Henderson, I feel like, is the durability, and I think he's fine. I think he's going to figure it out. So this would just be a grand slam. It wouldn't even just be a home run. I feel like it would be a grand slam for the Kansas City Chiefs. So Brett Veach knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like if you want to put another back with him and not give him like the crazy high threshold of Saquon Barkley level work, that's fine. He doesn't need it. Yeah. He can thrive without being that crazy bell cow. Still, 15, 18 touches a game one way or the other. And I think, the Chiefs would be a great landing spot for TreVeyon Henderson and kind of how he operates. So, all right, that's your top 64 with the Matt Miller draft. Any comments, questions, concerns to end this thing, Austin?
One final thing on TreVeyon Henderson. So TreVeyon Henderson has more national championships than lost fumbles. Just insane. So
strong stat.
Just crazy.
Strong stat to end the show there. All right.
Shot of the day.
If you got anything that you need to check out on the Twitters, you got to hit my man Austin Abbott up there. It's at Austin Abbott, 2 B's, 2 T's, 2 F's. Make sure you're going to follow him. And then, of course, you can follow us at the FF Dynasty. We got all the good stuff on the Discords through the free Patreon. We got a $5 holler Patreon. We got all sorts of stuff over there. Come check it out. Until next time, we're the FF Dynasty. I'm Casey. That's Austin. Jason's here somewhere. He was asleep for half the show. But we'll catch you next time.